May Allah's peace be upon you. In this episode, we will discuss the most notorious question that atheists in the West have ever asked, and of course Arab atheists transferred it. Which is, why can't a great civilization or material thing be the creator of our universe? By the way, who knows the answer to this question, will also know the answer to this question: who created the creator? Even though these kinds of questions are notorious in the last years, our scholars and scientists answered them more than 1,000 years ago. Our scholars and scientists provided an answer to that question. Sequencing endures, necessarily leads to no acts. Sequencing endures, necessarily leads to no acts. Sequencing endures means there is more than a creator. A great civilization, a material object, or a creator that was created by another creator. That great civilization, that material object, and that created creator, all of them, will need another creator that has created them, and the creator who created them will need another creator that has created him, and so on. This is called sequencing endures, or creators. There's a creator for every creator, and each creator will need another creator for them, and so on. That sequencing that atheists assume is mentally impossible. It's mentally impossible to occur, because if every creator needs another creator that created him, and so on, nothing will be originated. Because everything is the result or consequence of a previous creator, and its previous creator also needs another third creator, and so on. In this way, there will be nothing, neither creators, nor creatures. Because everyone is weak and not self-sustaining. So, the sequence must end at the first originator, an uncreated eternal creator, otherwise, nothing would be created. I will set forth this famous example, so that you could comprehend that rule, the example of the soldier and the bullet. If there's a soldier who waits for the order of his commanding officer to fire the bullet, and that commanding officer waits for the order of his superior commanding officer, and so on to no end, that bullet will never be shot. If the existence of each civilization depends on another civilization that created it, neither that civilization, its earlier nor its later, would emerge. There will be nothing, because none of them is self-sustained. The existence of an eternal creator is a must. Sequencing endures necessarily leads to no acts. Look at how our forefather scholars' phrases are, short yet precise. Such precise phrases, that resolve the suspicion, in a few words. Sequencing in creators necessarily leads to no creatures. Since we, creatures, exist, there must be an eternal creator, according to the mental need. And that creator is self-sustained, means that he doesn't derive his existence from other. Thus, we know the answer to the question of, who created the creator? If every creator had had a creator and so on, neither creator nor creature would have appeared. Moreover, imagining that there's a great civilization, material thing, or created creator that created us, that assumption isn't an answer to the question at all. Because the following question would be, who created that civilization? Who created that material thing? Let us ask. Do the advocates of that hypothesis have source, script, evidence, proof, or tidings from that civilization that told them they are the one who created them? Or is it no more than doubtfully guessing at the unknown, fantasies and illusions? The more important question is, how can the advocates of such an absurd answer to censure against the religious answer? This religious answer is more logical, consistent, and doesn't get into the trouble of mentally impossible sequence. In addition, the religious answer has a direct support of narrated Sharia prophets who came and told people this answer, and they were supported by miracles and signs to emphasize that answer is correct. So, the religious answer has a notarized support of narrated Sharia. It's an answer that has been provided by prophets and messengers, revealed from God the Almighty. The religious answer is consistent. The religious answer doesn't get into the trouble of mentally impossible sequence. Also, the religious answer has the authority of non-opposition. As that civilization didn't leave that petition calling that they created us. So, there isn't mental unwritten, or scientific opposition against the existence of the Creator. The religious answer also agrees with what science has observed and deduced, that there was no space, no time and no material. So, how could there be a material thing that created us? As contemporary science decides, our universe originated from non-material. It wasn't just an explosion of a matter in the empty universe. Rather, it was the explosion of space and time, to come into existence. There is a consensus among physicists, that our universe came from no time and no space. All matter, energy, space, and time in our universe, all of them, came to existence, at the same moment our universe originated.
And it is from this explosion, this bang, that all matter, energy, space, and time were created.
How do you claim that material thing created our universe then? I sat there trying to think, the ultimate hope of those assumptions that atheists pose, a great civilization, a material thing, and created creator. I sat there trying to think, and I found out that they will come to conclusion, to proving the existence of the creator, or else, they would get into the mentally impossible sequence. However, they only put absurd stumbling blocks in that path. Sane people cannot find clues or evidence to support the basis of those assumptions. Those assumptions, themselves, aren't an answer, rather, they are just deferring proving the existence of the Creator, one step behind. They are just deferring proving the existence of the Creator, one step behind, without having proof at all.
قل هل عندكم من علم فتخرجوه لنا إن تتبعون إلا الظن وإن أنتم إلا تخرصون.
Lying, making assumptions, from your imagination nothing more. The stranger thing, is that atheists rejoice with those assumptions. They are happy with that deferring, proving the existence of the Creator, and he considers it as a smart solution. As they hate the religious answer, that recognizes the existence of the Creator, even though they will prove his existence soon against their will, or else, they would get into the mentally impossible sequence. This confirms that they have psychological problems, not mental or scientific at all.
وإذا ذكر الله وحده اشمأزت قلوب الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة وإذا ذكر الذين من دونه إذا هم يستبشرون.
When any hypothesis is mentioned, no matter how absurd, you will find atheists rejoice with them. Like it or not, submission to God the Creator, in the creation and the command, is the ultimate purpose of human destiny. That submission is the sensational response to the major issue of mankind. Islam didn't get its name from its laws, system or taboos but from a thing that includes all of this. Islam got its name from the fact of submission to God. It's Islam. We ask Allah the Almighty to grant us submission to Him, in the creation and the command. Hereupon, let's move to the second part of this episode. Some atheists may say, yes, I agree that matter, space and time came to existence at the same time the universe emerged. But how do you say that energy came to existence at the same time the universe emerged? Haven't you ever heard of the first law of thermodynamics? In any isolated system, energy is neither created nor destroyed. Where did that energy, that existed at the same time the universe emerged, come from? The answer to this question is as follows. Firstly, this law is related to how the universe works. It's related to the system of how energy flows, inside an isolated system. It's not related to the origin of the universe. Secondly, don't you assume that the total energy of the universe is equal to zero? The total positive and negative energy of the universe is equal to zero. So, the first law of thermodynamics isn't preached by any manner whatsoever, because the total energy of the universe is equal to zero. This is what Sean Carroll, an atheist physicist, says.
Beginning of the universe, and it could have just been the first moment in the history of the universe without violating conservation of energy, because energy is zero.
So, first law of thermodynamics wasn't preached, because energy is zero. Thirdly, second law of thermodynamics decides that the universe has a beginning point. That law is considered an argument for the beginning of the universe. According to that law, the universe is, over time, acquiring entropy, and entropy never decreases over time. On the contrary, it will increase necessarily. Hence, any change in energy transformations must be accompanied by an increase in the amount of entropy. This is the definition of second law of thermodynamics. To make it more simple, this is a cup of hot water. Heat is transferred from the cup to the room over time, till heat is equally divided between the cup and the room. It's impossible for the opposite state to happen, that the temperature of the cup increases at the expense of the temperature of the room. Heat must be transferred from the higher thermal energy to the lower thermal energy, so that the temperature of both is equal. Therefore, the entropy of the universe increases over time, till it reaches the thermal death state. The universe reaches the state of thermal death when it reaches the highest degree of entropy. If energy was eternal, there would be eternal entropy at the time that our universe emerged. If energy was eternal, our universe would be born dead. Was there eternal entropy at the time our universe emerged? Nope. The reverse is what it actually occurs. The universe emerged with the minimum entropy. Now, let's listen to Sean Carroll when he emphasized this.
The second law, the entropy increasing, is an interesting case because near the time of the Big Bang, entropy was very, very, very low. That's why it's been increasing for the past 14 billion years. So that doesn't violate the second law, but the question is, why did the Big Bang have such a low entropy? And the answer there is that nobody knows. This is an open question for cosmology. Why was the condition near the Big Bang so special, so organized? Why was the condition near the Big Bang so special, so organized? Why was the condition near the Big Bang so special, so organized?
Why was a universe origins very special and very organized, with the minimum amount of entropy? This is a question asked by one of the most famous atheists in the world. However, miserable Arab atheists still believe that cosmos isn't special or organized either. Energy is eternal, and science can go to hell. And in the spirit of fairness, I must say that Sean Carroll tried to exceed that trouble, the trouble of minimum amount of entropy, by resorting to hypothesis of multiverse. We explain the issue of multiverse in the third episode of this course. You can check it. Unfortunately, the nature of atheists, either Eastern or Western, is that they always try to weaken and attenuate the strength of proofs using some assumptions. This is the origin of atheism throughout the history of Earth. Atheism has been, and continues to be, sophistry of axioms, with some assumptions and imaginations. On the other side, religion remains as recognition to the obligation of these axioms. Atheism has been, and continues to be, sophistry of axioms, with some assumptions and imaginations. On the other side, religion remains as recognition to the obligation of these axioms. You'd be surprised when you hear Alexander Vilenkin, an atheist physicist, admits that there is no a single satisfactory model for a universe that doesn't have a beginning point. After he had counted the models that scientists had presented to skip the beginning of the universe, Vilenkin confessed with sorrow, basically, none of these approaches work. None of these approaches that try to avoid the beginning of the universe is successful, at least so far.
So I'll discuss three candidate scenarios for how the universe could have no beginning. One is eternal inflation, then cyclic evolution of the universe, and what is called the emergent universe scenario, where the universe starts with some sort of a static seed. And I will, to lift the suspense, I'll tell you my conclusion right away, that basically none of these approaches work. None of these approaches to try to avoid the beginning of the universe is successful, at least so far. The first two are actually necessarily geodesically incomplete, models of eternal inflation and cyclic models. And the emergent universe models, even though they can be geodesically complete, they suffer from a quantum instability which disqualifies them.
None of these approaches that try to avoid the beginning of the universe is successful. Then he started to explain those models. That was the confession of Alexander Vilenkin, the atheist who tried his entire life to skip the fact that the universe has beginning point. Finally, he confessed with sorrow that all of those models don't work. All what science has come to conclusions, regarding all successful models, that the universe has a beginning point. After that, here comes an Arab atheist, who has the confidence of fools, to tell you that there is a scientific probability that cosmos is preceded by so and so. Or that we can skip the beginning of the universe, by so and so. In conclusion, this episode was an answer to the question of, why can't a great civilization, material thing, or created creator, be the creator of our universe? And the answer to that question was as follows. Sequencing in doers necessarily leads to no acts. Sequencing in creators necessarily leads to no creatures. That atheistic assumptions aren't answers to this question, who created that civilization? Who created that material thing? The religious answer, versus the atheistic assumption, is more logical, consistent, and doesn't get into the trouble of mentally impossible sequence. Also, at the same time, the religious answer has a direct support, prophethood. Also, the religious answer has the authority of non-opposition. As atheists only have assumptions and guesses. The religious answer also agrees with what science has observed and deduced, that there was no space, no time, and no material before the existence of our universe. Atheists' assumptions will remain, as deferring proving the existence of the Creator, one step behind without having proof at all. We also answered, in this episode, the issue of law of conservation of energy, and whether it conflicts with the emergence of energy, at the time the universe originated. We said that this law is related to how the universe works, not related to the origin of the universe. Moreover, atheists always insist, on the total positive and negative energy of the universe, is equal to zero? So, the first law of thermodynamics isn't preached by any manner whatsoever, because the total energy of the universe is equal to zero. Finally, we talked about how the second law of thermodynamics decides that the universe has a beginning, and how entropy was at the minimum amount at the same time that cosmos originated. For today's assignments is the same book from the last episodes and will continue for several episodes, Proofs for God's Existence by Dr. Sami Amri. Until the next episode, we will read the whole chapter 2. You can find the book, in first link in description. Until the next episode, we will only read the whole chapter 2. Don't get lost at any paragraph you don't understand. What is more important is to comprehend the basic concepts in the book. Thanks for listening. May Allah reward you well. May Allah's peace, mercy and His greetings be upon you.